Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Ansarkari. Today up some important themes, ideas, concepts and some facts, and we will be raising questions at the same time so that the preparation for success continues in the right direction. First, we are seeing Israel vows to intensify attacks as Iran calls off nuclear talks with the US. Now, this is a long drawn process. If you see that from the first decade of the 21st century and even previous to that time, there had been complex ideological and complex technological issues involved in it. What is important here that in a first, Israel hits Iran energy infrastructure. Then Tehran is threatening that it will attack US, UK, and French bases. There are a couple of important ideological points here to be seen. That what is the real objective? Iran is one of the largest producers of crude petroleum. In spite of sanctions, in spite of all such kind of pressures, its nuclear program is continuing, and half of the program is in the enrichment stage and it is underground also. Without complete support of the US, Israel cannot defeat Iran. Second aspect is of the long driven a decade Iran-Iraq war. Then also it was not stopped. So there is no solution to it. There has to be some tangible idea. Israel has right to be protecting its sovereignty and right of self-defending. And Iran also is claiming that it has right to have nuclear power, though it claims that we are not creating nuclear bomb. Powers like India, which have a very, very high strategic relationship with both the countries, especially Israel, can play a very important role. Whereas SCO, if you see further in the next point, that SCO has actually condemned Israel is going to intensify attacks as given in the second part of the article, and Iran is also having that as long as ballistic attacks are not stopping, we are not going to get back. So there is no solution to it. In fact, there is a group of people or group of thinkers, leadership in Iran, which now strongly believes that if we have nuclear power, nobody can attack us. Overall, not a good news for India, for rest of the world, and obviously for US also. US is breaking its credibility. That's what we can see in the third paragraph. SCO condemns Israel strikes. India is distancing itself. So there are group of countries including Russia, China, Turkey. They are all supporting Iran. And then there are other side, there are group of countries which are directly supporting Israel. But let me tell you, both Iran and both Israel, they are very unpopular in Europe. Israel is a headache for both Europe and also like-minded countries. But for US, it is important, and India will have to play a tightrope. So my question to you is, अगर आपको मौका दिया जाए as a leader of the delegation, what 3 things you will do to stop this war between Israel and Iran? How you will bring solution? Economic impact can be seen, trade to inflation. It is going to inflate markets. Inflation is going to rise. Macroeconomic stability is there, but challenges can be there because country is completely dependent on oil imports, and US sanctions are there. That is why after 2019, India has not been importing oil from Iran. But OPEC plus countries will have to compensate. Secondly, there is a wider energy disruption. It can happen. Israel has temporarily shut its Leviathan gas field, a key supplier to Egypt and Jordan, as a precaution. And Iran also is having a great infrastructure. And overall, if you see from the humanitarian perspective, then obviously it is a very, very wrong step. FIEO president in India, that is Federation of Indian Export Organization, now sees that the conditions in Red Sea will not be improving and there will be existing cost increasing because you are going through Cape of Good Hope. WhatsApp alerts, color coded placards, climate messengers. IMD की हीट वेव वार्निंग्स है वेंडर्स के लिए, दिल्ली में है, बिल्कुल है. 45 to 50 degree temperature is there in Delhi and Rajasthan. So what we can say that it is a part of the governance dissemination process. There is a role of government institutions and also roles of non-governmental institutions. So this is one of the ways we can say a collaboration about building local resilience and then enabling communities to act on that information. Extreme heat is an important situation. So being an officer, suppose in Delhi, what one step you will take to make sure that you are doing public service जहां तक heat wave को चैलेंज को समझने की बात है, आप एक क्या करेंगे? Hypertension is a silent killer. Measure your blood pressure accurately, control it and live longer. So that is how it is. Physical inactivity, do regular exercise at least 30 to 45 minutes daily for 5 days in a week. Eat healthy diet, avoid use of alcohol and tobacco in any form. So that is a very, very important thing, but then we are not able to understand and we are not able to apply the same. Indian Prime Minister visiting Cyprus, Canada, Croatia. G7, very important role. India is a big power, great population and an emerging leader. Cyprus, a very important country in terms of investments, in terms of Euro, it is a part of European Union. It is going to take presidency of the Council of EU in the first half of 2026. Most importantly, it is symbolic also in nature to Turkey because half of the part is with Turkey and half is actually with Greece. So it showcases that critical ideas like minerals, energy security, countering foreign interference and transnational crimes, India has a great role to play. अगर आपको मौका दिया जाए तो आप भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के लिए क्रोएशिया और कनाडा और साइप्रस के लिए आप क्या एक एक एजेंडा तैयार करेंगे फॉर स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप? When cholera is there in prelims, questions have been asked in the past कि कॉलरा होता कैसे है, कॉलरा के लिए कौन जिम्मेदार है? कॉलरा हम कम सुनते हैं, but then it had been a very deadly and dangerous disease, हेजा जिसको आप कह सकते हो. There is a role of Indian Council of Medical Research, National Center for Disease Control and Food Safety and World Health Organization. विब्रियो कॉलरे जिससे होता है ये. So most important thing is awareness at the panchayat level and how infection can be contained because of food and water contamination. रज्जा फेस्टिवल जिसकी वजह से ऐसा हुआ. So what important steps you can take in this direction if you had been a district administrator over there so that never of such thing reoccurs? Indira Gandhi and saga of an assassination plot by Vappala Balachandran sir. It is a kind of a story where he is showing कि कैसे जेआरडी टाटा साहब एनसीपीए के फाउंडेशन स्टोर उन्होंने ले किया, लेकिन करना इंदिरा गांधी जी को है, लेकिन बिकॉज ऑफ सर्टेन गॉसिप्स दैट देयर इज अ थ्रेट टू हर लाइफ, इंदिरा गांधी चाह कर भी नेशनल सेंटर फॉर परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट्स के भूमि पूजन के लिए नहीं आ पाई. बट मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग हियर इज दैट हाउ पुलिस even in concrete and also in abstract circumstances, कैसे उन्हें ना सिर्फ जान माल का बल्कि देश के जो बड़े व्यक्तित्व हैं उनको भी उनको रक्षा करना है. So examples are given here. For example, an actual incident took place on August 22, 1962, when Jean-Marie Bastien Thierry, a French Air Force lieutenant colonel, he ambushed President Charles de Gaulle and his wife. Bastien Thierry had conspired with the organization Army Security, which had opposed Algerian independence, to fire at the president's convoy in Paris suburb of Petit Clama. So, not just one example, there are many examples of this sort. That is why it is an important article one can read for this learning. United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization rated India above global average. US Aviation Regulator also classed India as category 1. लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी आप देखिए कि ट्रेजेडी हुई, लेकिन ट्रेजेडी का मतलब ये नहीं कि इंडिया कोशिश नहीं कर रहा है. इंडिया इज द थर्ड largest domestic market after US and China, fastest growing major aviation market globally, and इंडिया का जो इंटरनेशनल एविएशन सेफ्टी असेसमेंट कैटेगरी है वो 1 ही है. So what we want to say that we will make it more robust as far as passenger safety is concerned, and we will take further steps also. आपको बस कीवर्ड और आपको एसोसिएशंस के नाम पता होने चाहिए. इंटरव्यू में आपसे पूछा जा सकता है कि कैसे आप दिल्ली में जो है 50 डिग्री में भी आप कूल कैसे रह सकते हैं. डिहाइड्रेशन में द कलर ऑफ यूरिन चेंजेस, और उन्होंने ओल्ड मैन का भी बताया है कि किडनी इश्यूज होते हैं, हीट रिलेटेड डिस्कम्फर्ट होता है. डिहाइड्रेशन डिक्रीजेस ब्लड वॉल्यूम which can reduce the amount of flowing to kidneys. This can hinder the ability of kidneys to filtrate from the blood. Higher concentration of mineral waste यूरिन में चले जाते हैं, इससे किडनी स्टोन्स का रिस्क बढ़ जाता है, इससे पेन और ब्लॉकेज हो सकते हैं, यूरिनरी ट्रैक्ट इन्फेक्शन हो सकते हैं. और एल्डरली कई बार उसको सेंस नहीं कर पाते बिकॉज एज वी एज आवर किडनीज एबिलिटी टू होल्ड ऑन टू वाटर आल्सो डिमिनिशेस, लीडिंग टू इंक्रीज्ड फ्लूइड लॉस थ्रू यूरिनेशन. हमें स्वेलो करने में डिफिकल्टी होती है. So children and old people, they both are at risk. Children can be given coconut water, lemon shikanji, lassi, fruit juices. And similarly, the fact that 2 to 3 liters of water fluids every day is very important, or 50 ml per kg of weight. Okay. So cold coffee, caffeine sugar होता है जिसमें cannot be helping. Caffeine is diuretic, that is very important for prelims. And even if we are going for lemon water, chach, buttermilk, these are the safe choices. So these things were very normal beforehand. Now these are very important to take care of. That is why you can think of these common sense things and try to have their impact in general studies answers and also in your personal life. G7, Japan seeks potential trade deal with the US. This is very important. Japan is being imposed with a 25% tariff on the cars and auto parts. लेकिन हमें ये देखना है कि इंडिया जापान रिलेशनशिप नेक्स्ट एक डिकेड में कहां जाएगी. इस पर आप 2 पॉइंट्स जरूर सोच के मुझे बताइए और लिखिए. क्लाइमेट चेंज might make it harder to find submarines because warm water due to climate change likely to affect how sounds behave to detect submarines. अब देखिए ये जो एग्जांपल यहाँ दिया है, द अमेरिकन अटैक सबमरीन हैम्पटन इन ब्यूफोर्ट सी इन मार्च 2024, especially in the northern latitudes. So this is also an example how we have to readjust ourselves. Waters where many submarines have been there, they have been quickly warming because of greenhouse gases. It would also make large areas of ocean impenetrable to submarine hunters. So there is a reduction in detection. So the question arises that we have to change our behavior. Countries have to change their behavior and conditioning. Then only there can be a solution. What do you think India must do in this regard? Write 2 steps. एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है यहाँ पर कि कैसे जब अर्ली ह्यूमन बीइंग शहरों में गया तो खटमल भी साथ में गए. फर्स्ट अर्बन पेट्स वर बेड बग्स. खटमल होते थे, खटमल आदमी को काट लेते हैं और खटमल जो है खटमल यानी खाट में मिलते थे. The insect strayed from the cave-dwelling bats that had been its sole source of sustenance. और नियंडरथल के समय से आप कह सकते हैं चिपक गया इंसान से और वो आगे चलता चला गया. तो दिस इज अ वेरी वंडरफुल एंड ए ग्रेट पॉइंट. इंडिया में पहले शहरों में खाट में खटमल पाए जाते थे. अब जिसका नई जनरेशन को तो अंदाजा भी नहीं. तो पीटी के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली बेड बग्स दे रिप्रोड्यूस वेरी फास्ट. 30,000 ऑफस्प्रिंग 6 मंथ्स में बना सकते हैं. One bed bug can infest multiple apartments and a multi-story building. In a world where terms like empathy fatigue have entered everyday conversation, counselor, therapist, psychologists, they also take break. They also, go and de-stress themselves. They also look forward to unwinding. तो आपसे अगर कोई पूछे कि आप इतना सारा स्टडीज करके कैसे आप अनवाइंड करना पसंद करते हैं, तो यहाँ पर एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं. यहाँ पर देखिए दिखाया गया है. Therapists have developed rituals, routines, boundaries to manage emotional demands of the profession. तो आपसे मेरा यही क्वेश्चन है कि आप अपनी प्रिपरेशन में कैसे रिलैक्स होना चाहेंगे. 2 पॉइंट आप लिख कर डालिए. क्या आप मानते हैं आज के समय में ओवर टूरिस्ट वर्ल्ड है? ओवर टूरिस्ट वर्ल्ड जो है वो एक प्रोफेशनल ट्रैवलर अपना ब्रॉडकास्ट करे कि उनको हाइड करे. Kiyomizu-dera, a significant Buddhist temple in Kyoto temple in Japan, and many people visit it as a part of pilgrimage. दूसरा एग्जाम्पल है द क्राइस्ट इन द डेजर्ट मोनेस्ट्री नियर Abiquique in New Mexico is quite beautiful and holy. Sailing around Antarctica is a unique experience, especially the continent's precarious environment with extreme weather. तो क्वेश्चन वही है कि क्या यही सच्चाई है? क्या ऐसे ही आप जीवन को देख पाएंगे? क्या ऐसे ही आप समझ पाएंगे? सो हमें समझना होगा कि हम कितना प्रकृति को छोड़ें और कितना हम प्रकृति को संभालें. And that is only going to give us answer in the longer run. So thank you very much for being with Ansarkari so that you can get success. Make your own points, write down in the document side by side, answer the questions, create curious points, and we will discuss this further. Thank you very much.